Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Barcast TV and to another episode of Barcast Daily. It is May 29th, 2023. We've got another high-level match for you all, so let's go ahead and get into the replay. And before I introduce our players, I'd like to introduce our co-caster and guest. Novaya, would you like to say a word?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Novaya. Pretty new player to the game, but I've been improving quite a bit. Um, so thanks Barcast for having me on, and I'm excited for this game to see what therxyy and Riposter have for us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, and let's introduce our player. Spawning in the top right side of the map, playing as a blue pieces, it's Riposter. And his opponent, spawning in the bottom left, playing as a red pieces, it's therxyy. So I will say, Riposter is a new player. I mean, he's not new to like this style of RTS, but new to bar in general, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah, Riposter just came over from 0K about a month ago. He's quickly improving, and I think he's a really good player. I've played him a couple of times, seen a few of his matches, and I really think he will be good at the game as he understands the differences. Because 0K is a little bit different, the way the units work and stuff like that. So once he figures bar out, I think he's going to be a real threat.
yeah, and I will say, not only have I played Riposter, I've lost to him. I don't think I've taken a game off this guy. So the games we have played, definitely a tough opponent and quickly improving. So Riposter
Yep.
asked an interesting question here on into Battle Redux. I forgot to introduce our map, but just making a comment about the wind speed here, and is it really good enough to just go straight up wins on this map? So we can see he already made a solar collector. Do you have any thoughts you'd like to share on this map and wind speed in general?
Yeah, I mean, therxyy kind of points out the obvious. It just depends. This map has a 5 wind minimum and a 14 wind maximum, so wind is definitely good here. It's not gonna go to 0 and you'll have no energy, but it's also not super high that you can only make wind. I think having either solars or advanced solar collectors mixed in just to make sure you have a baseline of energy would be good, but there's also not a ton of metal on this map, so you don't want to make only solars because then you won't have enough metal for units if your opponent only makes winds, for example.
I suppose while we're on the topic of this map, and maybe just kind of take a look at the topography here, or what the points of contention would be. Like, obviously, we have this narrow choke point in the middle, and there's a couple mexes here in the top left and right hand corner of the map, which definitely it's interesting to see like such a high like concentration of metal extractors so far to the extremities of the map. So I think that's why this map's actually pretty well balanced, perhaps, or just like an interesting map in general. It's just the distribution of the mexes and their locations.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy to play because you really have to play both the top, the bottom, and the middle, and you got to be aware of where the enemy's units are and what he's trying to do while you're trying to expand at the same time and cover everything at the same time. I think it makes it a challenging map to play.
Hmm. Can see kind of the main difference, obviously, between these two players' opens was we see therxyy going for this vehicle plant, and his opponent chose to go bot lab opens. So definitely get to see this kind of interaction and style. Something I really struggle with myself is like playing bots versus vehicles. So it's going to be cool to see how Riposter chooses to kind of navigate this. Obviously,
Oh,
play.
for sure. Uh, Vehicle into bots, I believe, is a winning matchup, but it's tough, especially on choke maps like this. You get some laser turrets, you get some units, and it can be hard for vehicles to make a breakthrough. So we'll see how these guys play it out. Um, Core obviously very good versus Blitz if you micro. They have more range than Blitz, so you can kind of stay out of range, shooting them while they can't shoot you. You see here Riposter doing a great job, just keeping these Blitz away from his economy and building up a good number of grunts here.
Yeah, it's something I really struggle with. Is like you essentially in this matchup you have to abuse the superior range of the grunt versus the blitz, what have you, or the incisor for that matter, if you're playing against a core versus core matchup. But it can be mechanically challenging to say the least to micro properly in all these situations. It looks like therxyy was able to split off a little bit on army here.
Yeah, I don't know. Does Riposter? He does have one radar, it looks like, so he's able to see these units. Radars are so important in this game because, especially the blitz that are so quick and agile. I mean, if you lose track of them, they can just wreak havoc on your economy. If they get in the back line there.
Speaking losing of track of, I want to say, I mean, therxy's aware of these grunts here and could possibly take some damage here at his main base. We see a lot of grunts on his side of the map, so
Yeah, his reaction looks like it was late because he only has that one radar there at the bottom middle. So he didn't see those units, so they were already, pretty much in his side of the map. And he's taking a lot of damage here. That's a huge pickup for Riposter right there.
yeah, great job shaving off some units, and he's not then getting damage done, so definitely has some more opportunities to kind of shave off units. Looks like we have a little bit of counter damage here in the top side of the map. therxyy was able to pick off one of those expanding engineers and retain his units, so kind of punching back.
Yeah, you definitely want to do that. Bots can expand really rapidly, and so you got to really try to contain them as best you can as vehicles. So therxyy doing a good job of counter harassing his opponent, not just taking damage for free, but trying to equalize the game as best he can.
You see, these blitzes were able to close the gap, and this is kind of what you need to do in this matchup if you're playing against a grunt player. Is these blitzes have the approximately the same movement speed and higher acceleration. So if you're able to close that range gap, you should be able to take out those units or take out the opponent's grunts. So really good move, kind of cleaning up those grunts, kind of catching his opponent off guard. Perhaps I don't want to say too off guard, but
Yeah, like we mentioned earlier, I mean, you really have to stay on top of your grunt micro because if those blitz get on top of you, it's just, as you saw, it's just game over. It's
mm-hmm.
very hard. But right here, Riposter doing a great job microing, keeping those units away, not letting him get a flanking bonus. The flanking bonus is, I don't know exactly how it works, but I know you do get a damage bonus, so you definitely want to avoid that as bots.
Hmm. Yeah, I see a lot. Players will utilize kind of like creating an arc around those, like units coming at them, so to speak. So you definitely want to mitigate that bonus, which I'm not sure like if people really abuse the flanking bonus or are kind of cognizant of it, but it's definitely a part of the game, and it's kind of hard to quantify perhaps unless we kind of turn on the DPS to see just how effective that is and kind of
Yeah,
engagements.
I'm definitely aware of it when I play. It's not that I'm trying to go for it, but I'm trying to avoid being surrounded. Like, you don't want your units to be surrounded. Even if it's an even number of units, if your units are getting surrounded, they're going to die faster than his units.
Mm.
So you want to avoid being flanked and surrounded as much as you can.
So perhaps not the saving grace in this matchup, but as the bot lab player, you definitely have access to these grave robbers, which we can see Riposter is resing these units that had died on his side of the map. It's something I would like to point out is I feel like if you're using these grave robbers, it'd be better to kind of find these construction vehicles or construction bots rather, that have gone down and kind of prioritize resing those first. But do you have some thoughts you'd like to share on these grave robbers and their utility in the matchup?
They're definitely good on wind maps, I think. Low metal maps where you can get a lot of energy for cheap, they're very effective because you get the unit back for basically 60% of the original energy cost. So if you have energy, you're getting free metal back in the game, and I think it can be hard for vehicle to stop that. You're trying to be aggressive, you're trying to contain bots, but you're losing units. He's rezzing the units. Um, they're definitely a very strong unit, and you don't want to give your opponent too many wrecks, or you're really going to be behind.
Yeah, that's an interesting point about like a wind versus solar maps and the utility of these grave robbers. So, just want to say if you all enjoy these daily casts, if you want to see more of them or have some thoughts you'd like to share, please comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I want to say, Novaya, you're going to be posting some videos here shortly.
Yeah, I plan to start making some videos. I don't know if I'll be doing game casts. I think I'll probably be doing game reviews, either my games or requested videos, and just talking about kind of my thoughts of what I'm doing or what I'm looking at in the map and trying to figure out, some good ideas for newer players and medium level players that want to improve in 1v1.
Yeah, and I'll have to say, kind of personally from my own experience, creating those kinds of videos helps you improve yourself, right? So I'm sure you're not completely completely doing that
Yeah,
for other people so much as.
yeah, you definitely see where you're lacking when you watch your own recordings and you're like, why on earth did I do that? That was really silly. But that's part of learning the game RTS. There's just so much going on. It's hard to be aware of everything, micro everything all the time. So you're gonna make mistakes, but just seeing what kind of mistakes you keep making, trying to correct those, I think that's
Hmm.
important.
Well, if you, I'll be sure to put the link to that channel if you end up if that ends up going up soon. I'll give you a shout out and give you all a chance to find his channel. So looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
Can see where this game is at right now. I can take a look at the statistics. Looks like Riposter is about 600 medal ahead here, 10 minutes, 40 seconds into the game. So not the largest medal advantage, but it can take a look at the map control and see who do you think is ahead in this game at the moment.
I think therxy's ahead. Riposter really hasn't been able to expand. Therxy's been doing a good job of keeping that pressure north, and despite there being so little action on the bottom side of the map, the bottom right, Riposter has not tried to expand down there. He really could send a con and grab 3 or 4 of those mexes without any real danger, and that would help him to increase his economy.
Mm.
Because right now he's kind of getting pressured in the middle of the map and the top of the map, but he's not using that window to expand where he's not being pressured.
Mm. Perhaps the one advantage Riposter does have, we can just take a look at the E difference between these two players. He's sitting at about 530 energy per tick, and his opponent is a little, I would say, kind of stalling on E almost. We can take a look at his player view for now. Big difference between these two economies.
Yeah, and that's definitely the challenge for bots. Vehicle requires so much less energy per metal, and so despite the energy difference, Therxy's still in the game. So he definitely should increase his energy production and get some con turrets out so we can increase his production. But despite the E difference, he's still fairly even right now with Foster.
Hmm. And of course, therxyy for now has control of the mid, so he definitely has control of this choke point here. So that really allows him to kind of launch attacks onto Riposter's side of the map, whether it's from these two higher ground locations. And I want to say Riposter should be maybe using these paths along the left and right side of the map to kind of launch attacks into his opponent's side of the map. Looks like he's really focusing on taking this mid, taking control of the mid, pushing therxyy off of this.
Yeah, Riposter really being pressured here in the middle of the map, but you point out that he really should be trying to make plays around mid, go down the flanks, go down the sides, and just split up therxy's units, because vehicle's not going to have enough units to cover everywhere,
Mm.
and that's what makes bots so dangerous. These missile trucks are doing a great job of just pushing Riposter off this mid, and he doesn't really have anything to counter them right now.
Yeah, I'm not quite too sure. It looks like his response is going to be these thugs, so definitely have a lot more range than the thugs and a more reliable attack.
Yeah, missile trucks, they're really good if they got room to micro and move around, but if they get forced into that choke and they're not able to move out of the range of the thugs, they'll just get destroyed real quick.
Mm. It could be something to be said, I suppose, about radar signatures in this game and like how. This is a conversation I had the other day. It's like, well, what's better? Is it the rocket bot or the artillery for kind of dealing with these static defense? And I mean, personally, I feel like rocket bots are a little more difficult to use. Just they outrange LLTs kind of slightly compared to their artillery counterpart.
Yeah, I find rocket bots hard to use. I know some players seem to be pretty good with them, and they are very effective at destroying static defenses, but they only have, I think it's like 5 or 10 more range than the laser turrets. Actually, no, it's more than that, but it feels very small. You have to be right up on the laser turret's range to be able to kill them, so
Mm.
definitely you got to micro them constantly so you don't get picked off.
Looks like therxyy's commander is a little bit vulnerable here. I mean, he has these extra missile trucks kind of, standing guard protecting him, but it looks like Riposter is getting getting his commander surrounded even. We see some thugs on the north side. We see a big group of grunts below his army. So,
Yeah, Riposter really making use of those grunts that he sent around the left side to really destroy therxy's eco. If you look, he's really got only one expansion and his commander in the middle of the map. He's not really able to do anything in this position. He can't push on Riposter, and he can't really afford to go defend his base because then he's going to get pushed out of mid. So
right.
therxy in a tight spot here.
And surrounded, so like these grunts are preventing him from retreating with his commander. So I guess he's kind of stepping forward, sensing the danger he's in. He kind of, oh, that was a great shot. He sees these grave robbers rezzing all these units just in front of his position. So can't let
Yeah, it's hard to deal with. I mean, you get a lot of thugs and res bots behind them just rezzing the thugs as they die. It can be really hard to stop the push.
take a look at the statistics for now. Looks like Riposter is sitting at about a 2.7k metal advantage here. Almost 16 minutes into the game, so not the largest difference. I mean, obviously that can be kind of made up by some kind of like taking control of a reclaim field, so to speak. We can see some of these are about 600 metal over here in the mid, so 300 metal behind therxy's base. So not the largest deficit, but I think the real.
Yeah, I think the game. I don't know if it's just the way the game tracks the data, but res bots when they res units, that's not going to show up in your metal produced, but you're effectively producing that unit for free. So I mean, it's really hard to say how much metal he's got from resing, but it's definitely a lot. So he's definitely got a lead, both in metal income and in units resed.
Looks like therxy's punching backs, moving some blitzes to this top left side of the map, shaving off some of those metal extractors for now. But I want to say the real point of contention here continues to be the mid. It's going to be the deciding factor in this game.
Yeah, they're both players staying in the middle. Neither one wants to give up ground here, so definitely where all the focus is for both of them.
Yeah, Riposter putting up some warden and I guess heavier laser turrets for kind of really preventing therxy from stepping forward. And I want to say the solution to that is you just kind of rotate around either left or right. You don't have to press directly forward into your opponent, so could be a little bit of wasted metal. I'm not too sure. Looks like the forward bot lab ends up going down to these thugs.
Yeah, and that's tough because with so much pressure, it's going to be hard to reclaim all that. So that's just metal that you can't use anymore. So, but it looks like therxy, those those blitz that he got in the back, really killing a lot of wins over there. So definitely making use of his units.
So therxy lost control of the mid here. I'm not sure how he's going to kind of get back into this game. We see Riposter's position here. He's got a lot of the map. Take a look at his player view for now and see just how much of this map control he has. I don't see much of a standing army left for therxy. Looks like he's trying to get control of this plateau here on the left-hand side and, shave off some of this economy here. But, I mean, the real threat is just the amount of production and standing army Riposter has currently on the map.
Yeah, it looks like that raid that happened early on with the grunts that came down the left side really just put him back. He doesn't seem to have been able to recover. He's still got a bunch of wrecks all around his side of the map. Riposter now coming on the bottom, trying to put more pressure. It just feels like therxy losing on all sides here.
Yeah, we can see Riposter's expanding to the top left and bottom right at the same time and moving a large thug army here into the middle of the map while reclaiming these wrecks or rezzing.
Yeah, you hate to see that. Those res bots, those little halos you see on the thugs there. You really hate to see it, but that's what makes bots so strong. If they can hold off and then keep vehicle from just destroying them early, they really scale pretty good.
So if you start noticing your opponent or start noticing halos on your opponent's units, does that kind of trigger you to think about how to take attacks differently, or are you just kind of sticking with your playstyle? Or
I don't think it changes because it costs a lot of energy to res units. So it just really depends on whether you feel your economy is ahead or behind his. If you think you're at least even on economy, I don't think it's anything to worry about. But we see here therxyy resigns, calls it GG. Uh, didn't have an answer to those thugs there.
Yeah, that was a great game. Well played, Riposter. I know therxyy is not an easy opponent to deal with, especially on this map against vehicles. So really able to overcome, I guess, the disadvantage you have as the bot player versus vehicles, and kind of takes a victory there. So well played.
Yeah, well played by both guys here.
Well, that's the game. If y'all enjoy these games, once again, just hit the like button for us, and be sure to give you the channel link for Novaya when you decide to kind of post those videos. So stay tuned for that, and I'll be sure to call that out in a future video.
Sounds great. Yeah, be sure to give Barcast a like and a subscribe here, guys. He's putting out some great content, some great 1v1s that I think are really awesome to watch. So, looking forward to the next one.
All right, thank you for that, and see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.